just I just fixed one of my slides. Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to see all of you, old friends, new friends, and I think we're going to have a really fruitful afternoon together. Or I don't know what time is it. I think it's afternoon in most of the places who are here now. My name is Vilma Timonen, and I'm a lecturer and researcher at the Sibelius Academy, University of the Arts, Helsinki. And we are gathered here today for a project called Amplifying Heritage. And the big aim of our project is to seek means and find ideas of how we can construct sustainable futures in and through music education or music artistic activities, like our topic here today is. Our project is funded by the Nordisk Kulturfond Globus Programme for 1.5 years, and it includes 6 online workshops, and and also online webinars. The partners in this project are Sibelius Academy, and then we have from Finland, the Finnish Folk Music Institute. Matti Hakamäki, director of the institute, is here. And then we have NGO from Mauritius, ABAIM, and from Nepal, Echoes in the Valley. And these 3 online webinars that we host are focused on performing arts, music education, and research. The music education webinar took place in February, and now we are here today for the focusing particularly on the performing arts. And then the research topic will be taking place during the Kaustinen Folk Music Festival this July in Kaustinen, but it will be online as well. So please join us then as well, and we'll keep you informed. The project has included an exchange program where we have been able to visit each other's locations and learn from the practices on site and familiarizing ourselves with each other's activities. We will produce online video postcards that will be broadcasted. Some of them have been published already, and some are in the making. But then in the end of the project, we will edit the 3 video postcards from different locations into a mini documentary that will be then distributed through our web pages. This is also a research project, so 3 case studies will be done during the flow of the activities, and they will be published in the international peer-reviewed articles and book chapters. So today we are particularly focusing on the local practices and artistic approach to ICH. We will hear today experiences from Nepal, Morocco, Mauritius, and Finland. And we are hoping to offer insights about safeguarding intangible cultural heritage with and through folk music festivals, professional musicians, and other artistic approaches. And then the questions that have been guiding us here preparing for this webinar have been, for example, how can ICH be seen as a catalyst for artistic development and innovation? And also, how can artistic approach contribute to safeguarding intangible cultural heritage? Our program here today includes 4 presentations, which are followed by a commentary by experts from India and Denmark. Thank you already, Arun Sivak and Laia Canals, for joining us today. Looking forward to hear your thoughts on the 4 presentations later on. And after that, we will have time for everyone for questions and initiating discussions and whatever was thought-provoking in today's session. So looking very much forward, and thank you again for all of our speakers already in beforehand and commentaries. And without further talk, I would like to invite Mr. Risu Tuladar from Nepal, presenting Echoes in the Valley, your organization and your approaches to safeguarding ICH with and through your activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vilma, and thank you very much, Mati, for getting me here. And it's lovely to meet all old friends, familiar faces, and also new friends. I'm Rizu Tuladar from Nepal. I run a festival and an organization called Echoes in the Valley, and I also teach at Kathmandu University, the Department of Music. It's an ethnomusicology department. So I prepared a small presentation here. I'm going to share the screen. I hope it's going to work. I'm going to present, first of all, just a short video about the festival itself, and then after that, I'm going to go after besides festival things that we do. Can you see this actually already?
We can see your desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a dark one. Sorry. Where's the video gone? Yeah. To bring musicians from around the world as well as from inside different parts of Nepal into the valley and make an echo. So the echo of the music, like it echoes around the world. There was no festival that was catering for the musicians from ethnic backgrounds, or like ethnic instrument players or ethnic musicians or indigenous musicians or folk musicians, right? So we wanted to give them a platform.
Echoes in the Valley is a festival where we bring in folk tradition and indigenous Nepali and foreign artists in one place in an old city to come and start a conversation. To have a space where you come as a performer but then learn from each other. also give an opportunity for residencies, artist residencies, where they could travel, they could get to travel to wherever places that they choose in Nepal and collaborate with a local artist or a band and then create something new. And then also in the festival itself, provide a platform to showcase whatever it is. Could be a live performance or a film screening of their journey to this destination.
In 2022, we did musical residencies too. We hosted local as well as foreign artists. It was an open call for a residency, and interestingly, 2 Chilean artists, they ended up going to Dolpo.
We went to a small village in Dolpa, which is a very far place in the west of Nepal, to research about some old songs. And at the end this year, after 3 years, we also would collaborate with them and make some music together with these people from the village.
One woman. What other things to think about?
Because Nepali was the place where you can actually go and tell about this idea and say, okay, we want to do this, and they think it's useful for something. So yeah, we could do this because of Ecos in the Valley. Otherwise, I don't think we could have done it.
We believe that it has to be a free festival so that people from any walk of life can come and attend it.
It doesn't feel like there is a certain kind of people coming to see a certain kind of concert. It's like everybody's there for the experience. You have tourists, you have people that are foreigners that live here, you have all the Nepali people from different socioeconomical backgrounds, the people of the community there. So like everybody's together for the music. Everywhere it's like people are there for the full experience, and they really are like listening, and as a performer that is amazing.
As Tomás was saying, it's not a festival for making profits. It's because they actually really think that culture is something that we need in order to belong and to grow, and to open the space for foreigner people like us to be part of that. It's like it's an honor.
Thank you very much. And let me go back here. How do I go back here now? Uh-oh. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm again gonna share my slide because I couldn't do it all together at once. I'm sorry about that. So basically, what Echoes in the Valley we've been doing was we do this. We started as a festival, first of all. So we do this festival in the streets so that we could use the tangible heritages as our stages to to perform, or else that's also a way to make sure that all people from all kinds of life can come and attend it. In a sense that other festivals or any kind of music performances are ticketed and at auditoriums or bars or any other festival. So it is very it is not that accessible to to people from lower income areas and all. And also we make sure that there's a gender equality. So we always have been making sure that there is at least more than 50% female representation in the performing numbers. So far we've been succeeding it since 2019, but before that there was only like 30 to 40% of females. But now we have succeeded since 2019. We had succeeded in getting more than 50% of it. So saying about this, besides the festival, what we also do within the festival as well as sometimes out of the festival format is like we also do the music conferences. We have had 4 conferences so far. First one was on music education. The second was on the copyrights and intellectual property rights for the musicians, and the third one was on the music as an how to take it forward, like contemporizing the roots was the name. And this year we had a conference in 2024 March. It was on music as intangible cultural heritage. So through these kind of conferences, we also kind of like gives us insights on what there's a need and what might be the ways to go forward. So that's how we also learn from the conference aspect. So through the first conference, we came to realize that there was a very big need for the students and other scholars to have a central portal where people can come, students can come and have free access to music materials as well as the research papers, books, and also we established this Nepal Music Archive in 2021. In the archive, we have established it's a small room, but we have very enthusiastic, music enthusiasts as well as ethnomusicologists, young students working on it. Yes, we do have to deal with sometimes absolute, equipments as well as even the ones who could operate those or repair those. For example, this spool player are also getting very old because like they are no more in use, and we cannot actually get a place where we can repair and stuff like that. It's a part of archiving, I guess. So through Nepali music archiving, we have also done quite a interesting, we have made this history timeline where we can actually see, okay, when was the first recording of Nepal was recorded, and at the meantime what would be the Nepali political history, what was going on then, what was world music history was going on, so we have this comparative kind of an to see an overlooking view towards like world music and the whole world politics. So just to see where do we fit in, what was we kind of a thing. So we also do integrated music cataloging. That means we take we call for volunteers, and just like an guerrilla style, we just go to different music schools, universities, or museums, and we help them cataloging their whatever they have. For example, this is the on your left would be how it was. This is the main Nepal government's main university. It's called Tribhuvan University, and the books were all piled up in the in the shacks and all. After the earthquake in 2015, it has been left like that until this was in 2022 when we did it. So on the right is how we cataloged it, put it in their digital bay. Digitally, we give them all the access where it is and how to find those. And also we do have catalogs of these, what are the books and where are the books available at, so that, you know, if someone comes to Nepal Music Archive or goes to the website, they can actually see, okay, I can find this particular book in these 3 different libraries, and, you know, whom to contact, how to contact, so those kind of things. Till now, we have archived more than 2,000 album covers, 24,000 audio minutes of audios, and a lot of digitized items, videos, publications, and stuff. Now we are looking into more into women in music in this year, and trying to go back since Melba Devi, who was the first ever recording female artist from Nepal in 1940s. So we are working on these at the moment. And we have also, talking about the woman in music, we have had also started this project called Amplify Her. In this project, we have managed to send 3 art ladies, girls from Kathmandu Valley. One is a music producer, another is a singer, another is a videographer. So we send them to faraway Dang to find the ladies, women singer from that area, and to see how things are going, what are their works, how do they make music, and have they been archived, or have they been published, and also do a collaboration together with them. So through this, we actually, I'll show a very short video. I don't want to take a long time, so I'm just gonna show a very short one here.
पछिल्लो
This is from Amplifier.
दाङका निर्मलाजी घाँसपात गर्न जाँदा आफ्नो गीत सुनाउँथे जङ्गलका पशुपन्छी र चराचुरुङ्गीलाई। आजका थारू महिलाका श्रोता जङ्गलमा मात्रै सीमित छैनन्। रेडियो, टिभी मार्फत घर घरमा, यातायातका साधनहरूमा, इन्टरनेटका कारण हरेक चोक हुँदै ठुल्ठुला कार्यक्रमहरूमा पनि उत्तिकै दर्शक र श्रोता भेटिन्छन्। यस्तै सशक्त कलाकारहरूको खोजीमा हामी यसपालि आइपुग्यौं देउखुरीको लम्ही।
Just gonna show a very short of like what was the final.
राप्तीको तिरैमा बसी म काट्दैछु जीवन दिन्दिन, बग्ने यो पानी कहाँसम्म भेटौला के यसको मुहान। उडे है चकेवाहरू मै माथि, दौडन्छन् परनी मच्छरियाहरू मै मुनि, मकटुरहरू उफ्रन्छन् वरिपरि, सम्झनाहरू बतासै भरि।
So yeah, this was a small a project that we did with Amplifier. That is still going on now. We have a Amplifier project that's is ongoing. We are also working with a musician from who used to be in UK. Now she's a Nepali, and she is now based in Kathmandu. So we are also working with that to take this forward, as well as one research program that's going together also with Sibelius Academy. Besides that, we've done some exhibitions for the naming it Timeless Teacher for a very respected also torch bearer, culture bearer, Mr. Nuchibadur Tangol. And also we are also doing an archiving of all the materials from Mr. Gerd Wagner, Professor Gerd Wagner, who established Kathmandu University Department of Music. He's a German, and he now resides in Germany. He's around 74-year-old now. Besides those, we also do a lot of like workshops, educational workshops that we believe these are the things that will actually help our people to go into the profession, and also like to come out becoming help in becoming a professionals. So through Echoes in the Valley, we do a festival, we do a conference called Music Conference, and we do this kaleidoscope fellowship, like two Chilean musicians going to far away Nepal and doing the residency. Not only for them, we also do residencies for our domestic music enthusiasts, as well as music students and upcoming musicians. We also created Echo Music Fund that we have actually been able to help not too many, but like 3 students so far in different music universities and institutes. And Nepal Music Archive, as mentioned, and Amplify is the learning initiatives like workshops and all. So until now, what we have actually realized through doing this since 2017 is to make a full circle. What is missing still, besides all these things, is we think the missing part is the comprehensive educational program. And through this kind of educational initiative, we have realized, and through this educational initiative that we've been doing, like in the workshops or fellowship residencies, conferences as well, and Nepal Music Archive, and also from the festival itself, what we have realized is that the capacity building is the key for a sustainable development in terms of ICH. Because Nepal lacks the professional and financial benefits for the young generation to have opportunity and work in this field, as well as because Nepal now we are facing this massive migration problem. We have like around more than 2,000 people migrating each and every day out of Nepal for job in Saudi Arabia, Europe, UK, US for studies, Australia for studies. So through the educational program, what we aim to also like do is like to actually open up the ideas to seeing that it is possible to have alternate options, so that the people could create financially sustainable careers that works around the culture and ICH. We see that comprehension educational program could lead towards these kind of thing. So that's where we are looking forward for coming 5 years at least. Let's say, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Risu. That was very, very clear and very, very engaging in many ways. Again, thank you. But we will go forward. So next we will hear Abdallah Shifra from Essaouira, Morocco, and we will hear about the Judour Festival and Gnawa tradition. Please, Abdallah.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very interesting, Mr. Rizou. I was very astonished at your music, and it won't be really surprised because the world is very rich by its diversity. Thank you. So please, and you have made me, Mr. Rizou, jealous because I didn't prepare any videos for the festival, neither of Judour Festival or Gnawa Festival. I'm the founder of Judo Festival, Abdallah Shwera, from Morocco, Essaouira. And also one of the founders of the festival Gnawa in 1998. So, and more than 22 years of battle and active work for the benefits of our heritage. So thank you once again all. And thank you, Mr. Mati. So I prepared, as I will be obliged to read. Hope that you won't disturb you. So again, we'll back to Big Eyes. I would like to start by thanking our friends in common, the person who gathers us, our friend Mati Hakamaki, the man of many hats, the artists, the active cultural actor, the administrator and organizer of this debate on the subject of that if affects us and concerns us all. The intangible heritage, the best salutation from Essaouira for all the participants everywhere. So the topic, I will divide it into main chapters. The first one is Judur Festival, the international meetings of Sufi brotherhoods and trance music in Essaouira. Essaouira diversity and history. Essaouira is considered to be one of the most attractive touristic and cultural destinations in Morocco, rooted in history as a place of pilgrimage, whether commercial, spiritual, or cultural, a crossroads of diverse religions and different backgrounds, thanks to its rich history stretching back thousands of years. Essaouira has always been a pilot town. In the 17th century, it was the only Medina in Morocco to be built on the basis of an architect's plan. To populate it, the founding king, Mohammed III, invited commercials of the Sultan from the three religions, as well as families from all regions of Morocco, thus made the city cosmopolitan. This specificity has affected, influenced, and impacted on the daily lives of all inhabitants. The richness and harmonious diversity has made Essaouira unique in its gender to matter, no matter what your color, your religion is. The most important is the human being itself and coexisting of all, breathing the same air, practicing and sharing the traditions. Judo Festival and the Sufi Brotherhoods. No one can overlook the important role played by the Zawiya. The Zawiyas are Sufi Brotherhood centers. You can find it all the ancient towns in Morocco. So, and the Zawiyas and the confraternities throughout the history of Muslim world, and particularly in Morocco, a fertile land where the stabilization of the various components of cosmopolitan society is based on the love of Allah, becoming the main sources of inspiration for the spiritual strength and bodily energy needed to achieve a holy social life and better, fully tolerant communication. The brotherhoods have a sober, ritual, melodic poetry, as well as adjusted rhythms, openly combined with lively and expressive gestures. In addition to their symbolic role and their relationship with the divine, the brotherhoods in Morocco not only represent the social experience, translate into words and rhythms, they are also far from being a simple expressive ritual touching on the marginalized backstage of personality. Although the whole represents a cultural heritage of a nation by excellence, the propaganda image of the kingdom of the ramparts, it's also a source of healthy inspiration and pride for all Moroccans, who recognize the value of a heritage that represents both a distinction from others and a major point of encounter and exchange with others. With the aim of safeguarding this cultural heritage, promoting it, and keeping it alive, the idea was born of founding the International Meeting of Sufi Brotherhoods and Trance Music, titled Jodor, which means roots. And that was in 2009. These encounters will stand out from all other celebrations, thanks to the riches and potential hidden beyond the walls of dusty zawiyas. In fact, these meetings is adding value to the brotherhoods and their rituals, including trance music, while shedding more light on the missions, the fuqara. And fuqara in Arabic means the followers, who the adepts of each zawiya, to bring this cultural heritage out of oblivion and put it on the cultural map, both nationally and internationally. The international meetings of Sufi brotherhoods and trance music help to accelerate the development of the city of Essaouira, thanks to the additional spin-offs it will generate and an artistic, cultural, economic, and social levels. Morocco has managed to preserve its own religious and cultural symbols throughout its history, in particular that of the zawiyas and brotherhoods, which have played the role of spiritual authority crowned by the commander of the faithfuls, the king. It would therefore be unfair not to mobilize hand in hand to oxygenate these highly respected institutions within our society, just like other symbols, such as our couscous, chilaba, minti, famous babouche, and tarbouche. Babouche is shoes, traditional shoes, and tarbouche, a hat. Because it's time for the brotherhoods and the zawiyas to leave the intensive care unite, proving that our country will forever remain a tree whose roots reach deep into Africa and whose branches continue to grow far towards the horizon. And now Essaouira is giving us all an opportunity to look at our past through the windows of history while taking a step toward the future, which we hope will be more prosperous and brighter. And the main note of intent is by promoting and protecting living local heritage. Jodor aims to be a catalyst for the communities to make up Morocco's traditional cultural humus, represent an opportunity to highlight the different facets of an active spirituality carried by the confraternities within the Zawiya, culture, education, socialization, life skills, and savoir-faire, or savoir-vivre, and how to live. The international trance music meetings, Jodor Roots, will help to highlight living rituals and practices designed to encourage mystical communion through the ecstatic music and dance to make them up. It will also weave links between Sufi traditions and world traditions that share the same community of spirits. Immaterial cultural heritage, or intangible heritage. Jodor aims to question Essaouira's confraternal memory and to conduct the research that will lead to its preservation and transmission. For open to the world for thousands of years, Morocco is founded on the human values of peace, solidarity, tolerance, and dignity. Within this in mind, the Essaouira-based association Racine, our association, for Arts and Culture is organizing an event designed to highlight the artistic and cultural contribution of Sufi brotherhoods and their role in the field of trance and world music. The city of Essaouira and its history, rich in this culture, can only highlight the greatness and diversity of our national heritage, and thus contribute to Morocco's growth and development within the international community. By opening up an avenue for the involvement of young and not so young people, whether affiliated to Sufi brotherhoods or not, this event aims to encourage all of Morocco's potential to act in wide-ranging, creative and supportive process to create space for meeting, exchange and dialogue on the socio-cultural importance of Sufi brotherhoods and trance music. Given that some of these artistic expressions remain marginalized or underappreciated, the event will be a dynamic vector enabling the traditional artistic expressions for the brotherhoods to develop, both within the context of their zawiyas and as a stage shows in their own right. The heritage of Morocco. The heritage of Morocco's centuries-old Sufi brotherhoods is in serious jeopardy as the social structures that supported them are losing their ties. The move towards entertainment and anarchic commercial exploitation that traditional arts in general and popular Sufi music in particular are facing is by no means reassuring. We fervently hope that the custodians of this corpus, and in particular of this admirable music, will be able to make lasting commitment to high quality artistic expression. We want to shed light on the essential elements of social history that will give us better understanding of our popular culture through the transmission of musical heritage that is still accessible, since music is one of the most important and sustainable factors in the socio-cultural development of our country. The first meeting of Sufi brotherhoods and trance music has been initiated with a view of sustainable development and in a spirit of solidarity and fairness, taking advantage of the cultural dynamic created in Essaouira thanks to the various large-scale musical events already taking place. So the objectives now, the objectives of Jodor. Jodor is an initiative that aims to highlight the place of Sufi culture in national culture in particular, and that of trance music in general. Raise awareness, mobilize, and enrich the debate around the role of Sufi brotherhoods in Morocco and their ritual, cultural, artistic, and even musical therapeutic activities. To highlight the other facets of an active spirituality carried out by the brotherhoods within the Zawiya, culture, education, socialization, interpersonal skills, and life skills. Highlighting the cultural potential of trance music in Morocco and opening up areas for reflections on the development of popular Sufism. Set up production and publishing projects to enable artists to defend their statues, evolve and flourish. Created projects to nurture creativity among young people, encouraging them to become actively involved in music and arts. In the long term, created a center for collecting and making available the information needed to ensure the survival of these practices, as well as partner the confraternities in their material needs, upkeeps of the zawiyas, operating assistance, etc. The organization principles. Each year in September, Jodor will invite one of the brotherhoods established locally. This brotherhood will be showcased in its preferred place of practice, Zawiya, Sufi Center, in accordance with the code governing its organization. Around this brotherhood, Jodor will invite other brotherhoods based in Essaouira in Morocco and throughout the Muslim world, and practitioners of trance music likely to engage in dialogue to highlight and resonate this practice with that of the flagship brotherhoods of the year's festival. The city's other zawiyas will also be involved, always in keeping with the way they operate and their capacity to welcome a public that does not belong to the brotherhood, as well as various emblematic locations in the city of Essaouira. Darswiri, as you know, Mr. Mati, Borj Ban Marrakesh, places Muleh, the main big square in Essaouira that held festivals. Institute, the Moroccan French Institute, Zawiyas, and Hadras, trance gatherings, in line with the various festival events. In addition to the spectacular aspects of this event, rituals, concerts, multidisciplinary and multicultural artistic encounters, Jodor will also be a privileged place for dialogue and formal meetings between the different practices invited. There will be conferences, exhibitions, photos, customs, ritual, object, mystical, instruments, etc. Documentary screens, poetry reading, a book and record markets, commemorations and tributes to those active in continuing and safeguarding the confraternity heritage, symposia and or seminars inviting practitioners, researchers, and members of civil society to share experiences and perspectives on the current and future of these different practices forum. The event as a whole will provide an opportunity to collect audio, visual, written, and material information so as to build up a body of documentation that will eventually be accessible to the interested public, both scientific and lay, in the form of Maison de Confrérie. This is the main objective of our society, is to create a real center where, like a house, that gathering all Sufi brotherhoods and those Buddha researchers, activists, musicians, all together daily, just to think about and to set up programs and so on. Artistic orientations. Sufism is the mystical current of Islam present throughout the Muslim world, where people tirelessly invoke the living one to polish their hearts so that they reflect the divine light. It is also Morocco's traditional cultural humus, as Oliver-related ethnotherapist said. So here we are in the Zawiyas of Essaouira. As I told you before we start, my friend Mati, about the Zawiyas, their numbers settled in Essaouira. Jodor aims to highlight the musical and choreographic manifestations of the confraternity's essential elements of their spiritual practices. Essaouira only in the ancient Medina is home 14 Zawiyas. Hmadja, Sidna Bilal, that one of Gnawa, the famous one. and the unique in the world. Sid Ghazi, Isawa, Kittaniya, Sidi Ali bin Abdullah, Dardmana, Sidi Jazuli, and Sidi Jazuli is from Essaouira, and he is considered actually is one of the 7 saints of Marrakesh. Tijaniya, Derkawiya, Qadiriya, Nasiriya, to which I personally, my family belongs to that. My grandfather is the founder of that Sufi Brotherhood. Rigraga, the unique in Morocco. This is very typical Rigraga. Qadiriya Bouchishia. Qadiriya Bouchishia is the latest Sufi Brotherhood instilled in Essaouira. There are also more than 45 zawiyas, marabouts, and mausolees positioned on the whole territory of the province of Essaouira. Therefore, the city is considered as a land of the saints and positive vibes and energies. Although the principal Jodo is to highlight one of the city's brotherhoods each year, each of the other brotherhoods are represented at the event. Jodo would also like to invite other brotherhoods from the Muslim world that could enrich the panorama of Sufi musical practices, like Mevlevi, Alevi, Kawali, Stamboli, Zar, and Diwan. In the spirit of brotherhood, it would seem appropriate for the organizer to consider opening the festival to equivalent practices from the non-Muslim world. We are seeking, therefore, to invite practitioners of trance music, song, and dance from the various regions of the world where these practices are still practiced. These include, but are not limited, of course, Black African traditions, Yoruba, Voodoo, from Benin, Nigeria, Hausa, etc. Ritual music from Kenya and Tanzania, songs and possession rituals from Madagascar, etc. Santeria and songs songs for the Orishas of Cuba, Voodoo from Haiti, Maroons from Jamaica, and Garifuna from Central America, Candomblé from Brazil, shamanic practices from Siberia and Mongolia, the Inuit of Canada, the Chindo of Korea, and North American Indian communities, Paiute, Navajo, etc. Baron masks, dance, and Shangyang possession rituals from Bali, Ketchak ritual, Tarantelle from Italy, and Saturnals from Languedoc, France.
Abdallah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Maybe 4 more minutes, if you can.
Yeah.
Little bit hurry up so that we can go on with the other program also. This is very interesting. But
sorry for being.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's good.
Now I can move directly to Gnawa.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. The Gnawa especially is in the city practice a therapeutic precision ritual through all-night rhythms and trance ceremonies combining ancestral African practices, Arab Muslim influence, and native Berber cultural performances. The Gnawa in the rural areas organized communal meals offered to Marabout saint. Some Gnawa in urban areas use string musical instruments like that. Yeah, let me see. Instruments and castanets, while those in rural areas are large drums and castanets. Colorful embroidered costumes are worn in the city, while white attire with accessories characterize rural practices. The number of fraternal group and master musicians is constantly growing in Morocco's villages and major cities. And Gnawa group organized into association hold local regional, national, and international festivals year-round. This allows your young people, to learn about both the lyrics and musical instruments, as well as practices and ritual related to Gnawa culture generally. So in general, I can tell you about Gnawa. Gnawa, it's music or traditions that have been brought with the slaves in Morocco, starting from the 15th century. All the slaves that have been installed before the building and settlement of Essaouira as a city, the Mogador, the Islands, the Amazigh that live there, and also the dynasty Sadian conquered black and sub-Saharan countries and bring with them slaves. And this community bring with them their own traditions. But once in that area, that part of land, they have been affected by the traditions, local traditions, Berbers, and also the Jewish and Christians and Muslims of that world, that time. And that's all what make Essaouira a very cosmopolitan city, and doing it with different backgrounds. And that also affect on the Gnawa and the slaves themselves, because they became to learn dialects, local dialects, and also convert to Islam, and also being affected by the numbers of the Sufi brotherhoods. So actually, the image of Gnawa that we all know now is very different than its origin. It is developed. And this music is based on the 7 colors of the rainbow of the nature. And each color represents a special community of spirit, gene. It has its own dance, it has its own rhythms and sounds. Each man who is possessed by kind or sort of gene is directly getting in trance while the master or the musicians plays this color. It has also its own ancient and all the lila ceremony that starting from the last prayer of the day till the early prayers in the other day in the morning. This is Gnawa healing to recover people from, it's like sort of therapeutic music. And once, and of course we are accustomed in Morocco to assist, and also I've been a musician and I assist to that lot of ceremonies. I saw many people who get recovered from their own disease, whether dermatologic or even psychic. And Gnawa, starting from since the inscription of Gnawa as word, intangible heritage, and since the first edition in 1988, all the community, the city, I will tell you just if you permit. I still have some, Mati, I still have some minutes now.
Maybe 1 minute and then try to wrap up, please.
Yeah, this is just, it's very important to say. In 2009, the mission continued with the creation of Yerma Gnawa Association on the initiative of Malam Gnawi and the founders of the festival music and the Gnawa world music. The Gnawa artists and cultural players working in partnership with various private and public sectors at their head, His Excellency, the Counselor of the King, Andre Azoulay, had put and worked to register this heritage as and make it recognized by the UNESCO as World Intangible Heritage. Supported, of course, by all the previous mentioned partners. UNESCO declared in December 2019 official registration of Gnawa culture UNESCO Intangible Heritage Site. And in 2022, in the midst of the COVID crisis, production with the Smart Morocco Public Broadcasting Network of a television concert featuring all Gnawa Ma'alem of Morocco. And also in December 2023, an awareness rising tour of Gnawa artists across 4 Moroccan towns in partnership with the Moroccan Copyrights Office. So just still a lot to say. But sorry, I took the time. I don't want to bother you. So thank you for being comprehensive and tolerant.
No, thank you. Thank you, Abdallah. That was great. Vilma, will you take it over from here, or so? Maybe I would just go on with the program. So next we have Abe, Alan Munen, and we will hear about the work that you have done in Mauritius. Please.
Thank you, Matti. Thank you, everyone. It's really a great pleasure, as usual, for me and for Abe to be among you to discuss important issues, particularly when it comes to ICH and music. So the theme of the webinar today is ICH in music, local practices and artistic approaches. And my presentation is something like a journey from oral traditions of communities to performing arts. It is that whole process, I think, that needs to be underlined to see the form that it takes and the very content of this journey. So our intent during this presentation is indeed to reflect on and try to amplify this reflection as regards 3 important elements that are to be found in the title of the presentation itself. So the first element would be ICH in music. I think that we have to look for the relevance of music to ICH, or the relevance of ICH to music. And we will refer, of course, to oral traditions, orality, as starting point. The second element that needs our attention would be about what it is all about local practices of music. The origin of these practices, their evolution as universal developmental processes, and here the ideas of layers, we discussed it with Vilma in our exchanges, and their relevance would tell us a lot about those local practices in music. And the third element would be about, indeed, artistic approaches which have been impacting on intangible cultural heritage. Here we shall try to assess the extent to which artistic approaches have contributed to either enrich or harm ICH. In this regard, reference will be made to performing arts as that specific domain referred to in the UNESCO Convention on ICH. So the first point is about ICH and music. And the most relevant domains that would relate to music when we talk about the convention, the UNESCO Convention on Intangible Cultural Heritage, that would pertain to oral tradition, performing arts, social practices, and traditional craftsmanship. The only one that I find a little bit distant to it would be nature and the universe, but then we can just link it as well, which means that the very content of ICH domains relate to communities, oral tradition, and performing arts, to all intents and purposes. So let's consider orality and music. Here, we are basically referring to the human biological expression that starts indeed with the first sounds emitted and uttered by the baby and the child, and that would evolve into such a sophisticated form which would be called language. And language would allow for a multitude forms of expression, such as storytelling, riddles, poems, songs in the form of lullabies, for instance, and even nonverbal expressions such as mimes. At this very early stage of human development, the various forms of orality may be considered to be the basic raw materials that the human mind would use to get embodied, and this embodiment, carried out rhythmically and in articulation with sound and silence, is the most primitive form of music that can be recognized in the human species. So we are almost done about the link between orality and music. Our point here rests on the premises that music is present in the very biology of humankind at the very start of life. But then we still need to show the link with ICH. For this, there is a need to acknowledge that care provided to the baby and the child is all about transmission, as ICH is all about transmission. We are here indeed referring to transmission of knowledge for survival development inherited through generations of childcare practices strongly rooted in traditions, alongside with development of cognitive capabilities. These traditions are carried along to a large extent by universal collective unconscious, as so rightly pointed by Carl Jung. Our emotions are what connect us all to our collective traditions and allows for cultural identity, which gives meaning to life. They constitute the driving force that allow us to project ourselves into a viable future that would still provide meaning for our existence and the existence of humanity. This is what provides additional value to the ICH. The intrinsic link between orality and ICH through transmission and music should by now be clear enough. My second point would be local practices of music. And this pertains to local practices and music, just as it could be local practices of music or even local practices in music. Everything sounds good with music as far as local communities and ICH are concerned. From what we've argued in the first point, we can safely posit that music, more unconsciously than consciously, is part and parcel of everyday life. Not only that we hear it everywhere and listen to it more often than not, but we are ourselves basically rooted in music. It is therefore no surprise that in all communities, musical expressions have been used to pass on communication of all types and nature. And this has proved useful to enhancing knowledge besides providing joy and entertainment. and in the most natural way. Through mainly oral traditions, communities have entered both collective and into both collective and individual creations that have been recognized and named music. Yet a very basic point to be made at this point is about the involvement of communities in creating shared forms of music that happened during evolution to become powerful tools for survival and development. They all evolved and thrived around oral traditions involving twisting of language, figure of speech, riddles, body language, and storytelling in social practices and in everyday life. Sophisticated forms of music can be observed at community level, where indeed the matrix of creation and recreation is most fertile and productive. In this respect, the whole history of Segatipik in Mauritius points in this direction. And local communities have indeed managed to a large extent to work this out through diversity and interculturality. Had it not been through the musicality of the Creole language that slaves and their descendants managed to create despite the most atrocious of adversities, resistance and later resilience would never have worked out well and provide for liberation. So deep-rooted musicality and music have stayed firmly in the mind of the oppressed. The most interesting point is that there has been transmission to such an extent that no amount of interdiction of this form of music has been able to get rid of it. And it is no coincidence that the Segatipik has been inscribed on the representative list of the UNESCO as a World Intangible Cultural Heritage. The point is made, therefore, about this other intrinsic link between local communities and music. So at this point in time, I would just like to show you a little video about how at ABAIM we have managed to take the local practices, get them fortified, get them vitalized, and putting them at center stage so that indeed the whole population is able now to recognize themselves. But then the point is about how do you show respect to those communities while indulging in those risky business of getting local forms of music into performing arts. So I don't know if I can or would Mati be able to show us the video Couleur nous la vie?
Is this the correct one?
Yes, that's it.
Depuis mes enfants me comme ça, ma petit me danse, me nager dans l'écho, souhaite-nous dans le tamet dans la mer. Soyez-nous dans les temps modernes, nous cause parole couler, nous la brûler. Là-haut, là-haut, y'a même nous les soyez-nous partout avec nous. La nuit des sous ma voix, c'est ce pas fait couler, n'a pas mis couler. Là-haut, là-haut, y'a même nous les soyez-nous partout avec nous. La nuit des sous ma voix, c'est ce pas fait couler, n'a pas mis couler. Là-haut, là-haut, y'a même nous les soyez-nous partout avec nous. La nuit des sous ma voix, c'est ce pas fait couler, n'a pas mis couler. Là-haut, là-haut, y'a même nous les soyez-nous partout avec nous. La nuit des sous ma voix, c'est ce pas fait couler, n'a pas mis couler. Là-haut, là-haut, y'a même nous les soyez-nous partout avec nous. La nuit des sous ma voix, c'est ce pas fait couler, n'a pas mis couler. Là-haut, là-haut, y'a même nous les soyez-nous partout avec nous. La nuit des sous ma voix, c'est ce pas fait couler, n'a pas mis
Thank you, Mati. Let me just get to the last point that has to do with artistic approaches. And here the link obviously would be with the ICH, would be the domain of performing arts. And when indeed referring to approaches, one needs to remember that in fact an approach has to do with basically the way one indulges in a practice. And this involvement is determined both by the attitude of the person and the step-by-step, let's say, the method of going about it. The whole process, because it is indeed a process and not an end in itself, must be guided by the mother of all values, that is, respect for the individual and the community. So this said, no one would, despite the bare fact that music as that natural phenomenon co-created in the community is now to be found as well in the form of performing arts. But the bare fact remains that all over the world, music performers are not necessarily good representatives of the communities. The more so that the authenticity of the music created by communities is to a large extent denatured and depreciated, to a point that in many instances, the communities become alienated with their own creations. And one of the greatest culprits is for sure over commercialization of music in the form of fast consumable products, which take the fastest route at the expense of the step-by-step lengthy processes needed for authentic expressions of people to get through. This is to say that taking music away from the community to the performing arts level is a hard task, a big challenge, but a risky business as well. There are, however, ways in which things can be done to articulate music of local communities to the status of performing arts. And I think that at the level of the project we are embarked in Amplifying Heritage, we have captured to a large extent the essence of it. Be it in Finland, in Nepal, or in Mauritius, we have been able to share, we have been able to co-create, to practice together, and we have been able to show to what extent our organizations have shown great respect to individuals and communities. And we have worked through those processes with eminently good results. So, as far as the status of performing arts that articulation between local communities and performing arts is concerned. We have therefore to get a thorough understanding of music as an element of intangible cultural heritage. We can't do without it. I think that we must insist that we should never disconnect the way we think about music and the way we promote it. We shouldn't disconnect it from intangible cultural heritage as described beautifully in the 2003 convention. We have, in this respect at ABAIM, engaged communities in this direction for the past 40 years now with conclusive results. As a non-profit organization, we have been able to bring to center stage of the Mauritian society a number of musically related activities of the community. It has to do with endeavors in relation to safeguarding activities which have allowed communities to feel really empowered in their native language, expressions, narratives and stories, poems and songs, play and musicals through music as an intangible cultural heritage. So as a matter of conclusion, before we try to see if we can see yet another small video, as a matter of conclusion, we would hold the view that the very human nature provides for music expression to spearhead developmental processes in us all. The idea of reflecting on it is to become conscious of it. And in this respect, the ICH perspective is obviously the best way to go about it. So if we have time, I would just ask Matti just to try to get us to the next little video.
Sorry, Alan, I tried to do it, but it has some kind of frame problem, so it doesn't show in.
Okay.
It goes like this all the time, so.
So it won't work.
It won't work, I think. Yeah.
Okay. So I would just then thank you for your attention and wish you all to continue in the reflection, and I will just wait for the next intervener.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan, so much, and sorry for the video. Maybe you can share. Do you have it in YouTube?
I must just check out if we have it in YouTube.
Maybe we can have it in the chat, the link, if possible, later, so that we can watch it. Thank you. Thank you so much. So now we will hear about folk music group Tallari, and Sampo Korva has promised to speak us a little bit about the idea behind the folk music orchestra Tallari. Please, Sampo.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. Honored to be here. I've been enjoying the previous presentations very much. Has given a lot to think about. So yes, I play the folk music group Tallari. It's the only state-funded folk music group in Finland. So part of our funding comes from the Ministry of Education of Finland. Let's see if I find my presentation. Okay. The way it should. Is it good now?
It's we don't see the presentation mode. Yeah, now it's good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So that's our current group. So when Tallari was established in 1986, it was the only or pretty much the main folk music group, professional group that was promoting Finnish folk music in Finland and also abroad. And nowadays we're very happy to have numerous different folk music professionals giving different views of Finnish folk music all around the world. So what we do nowadays is a lot of touring inside Finland. We do some concerts abroad as well, but a lot of concerts in schools, raising the awareness of the Finnish folk music, especially with children. And so that's pretty much the agenda of Tallari, to raise the awareness of what folk music there has been in Finland. And the way we do it is we study archives and try to get as much knowledge from different folk music traditions inside Finland as possible. But we are, three of us are natives from Kaustinen. They have grown into the Kaustinen intangible cultural heritage. And so that's pretty much the only culture that really Tallari is fluid in, even though we do perform different parts of Finnish tradition from other parts of Finland as well. Those are, if I'm very strict about it, it's more our projection of that idea. But that's what we try to do. We perform, as I said, in different venues, a lot in schools. And the part of the work that I myself enjoy the most is the interaction with the folk music communities. We have different people, communities around Finland that have just play folk music for fun. They have their own relationships with their own respective local cultures and folk music traditions. And we interact with them as much as we can whenever we're traveling in some parts of, like here, for example. This was the only photo I could find quickly. This is some years ago. We're up in the north in Sodankylä, playing in schools, and here we're holding a workshop for the local folk musicians, playing their music and teaching some new songs. But all the time we try to be aware of how the folk tradition is alive in different parts of Finland. And okay, and here I also have this one part of the Tallari activities is that I've tried to describe as appreciating expertise, which means so that we employ various professional folk musicians that each have specialized in some different areas of the Finnish folk music culture, let's say in some certain instruments or a specific tradition from a specific area of Finland, and also try to broaden our own views and also help bring that to a bigger public, possibly, and get some dialogue happening between these local cultures as much as possible. So Tallari, under the name of Tallari, is of course this quartet of ours, but there's also this project called Tallari Production, Tallari Tuottaa in Finnish, under which we employ the folk music professionals of different fields to work individually, but under the administration of the Folk Music Institute and the funding. And that has also been a very nice project. It's ongoing all the time. There's, I think, right now, one or two musicians, folk music specialists that are doing their own project, interacting with children's communities, schools, and local folk music practices. So, and the collaboration is a very important part of how we do it. It also helps us get a perspective to what we're doing. Like I said, we are sort of native to the Kaustinen folk music culture, but also doing that and living inside that bubble of the Kaustinen music, you easily lose touch and perspective of what it is actually about and what's special in it, and what probably within that culture needs more attention. So these interacting with other communities, local folk music practices, and especially these international collaborations, that has been very interesting in that we hear people from another country playing our own culture, trying to understand what's the essence of, let's say, for example, Kaustinen fiddle playing, and always bringing their own color into it. And that is really fascinating. You can really hear what kind of things we're working with. Here's a picture of one of our recent collaborations. Here's Anne Morottaja. She's an Anar Sami singer, or liute singer. This is a special form of folk song from this Anar region up in the north of Finland. Very, very special Sami culture. And we were very fortunate and privileged to have this collaboration with her. The Anar, well, the Sami song culture, this yoik culture, as well as this liute song from Anar region, is traditionally vocal, and we have very interesting collaboration with her. She had faith in us and tried to find different views into that music culture of hers, with us bringing instruments into it and trying to understand that music and interpret it with the means that we have as with our instruments and what come naturally to us. So it has been a very, very interesting example of these collaborations. And like I said, one focus is only can be a specific instrument, folk instruments we have here in Finland. Like in this case, we did this collaboration with Pauliina Syrjälä, which many of you, I'm sure, know from the Sibelius Academy. And she is a specialist in this specific kantele type, this sister that we are holding. And our most recent collaboration, international collaboration, was with Belgian bagpiper Peter Jan van Kerkhoven. So these are just some examples of the activities we do. I'm going to show this. This is a lot older, just as a little nod to our director, Matti Hakamäki. He's a specialist in many things, but one of the things is this humorist songs, so song culture of Finland. And we had one project many years ago. I think it was 2017. Our lineup was a bit different back then. But anyway, I'm going to leave this photograph so you can admire it. Talk about this ICH, or the ideas that I have about it. And so, like I said, Talari has this state funding. Part of our funding comes directly from the Ministry of Education. Part of our funding comes from the city of, or the village of Kaustinen, our local village, and the rest we try to gain ourselves through concert fees, for example. But this already gives us some freedom, that we don't have the same pressure to make our product, or make this into a product, what we do. So we have the luxury of maintaining the focus in the culture and in the folk tradition, rather than being pressured into creating a product that will sell better and get us more money so that we can keep on doing this. And that is a very fortunate situation right now. I hope we can continue on, because despite how wonderful and interesting we think these collaborations are, it's still so marginal, lamentably, that the people we reach with these projects, these collaboration projects, the audiences are not very big. And main challenge with that, of course, is because Finland itself is such a small country. So we just don't have that much local audience for that. But it's still very important, because, like I said, it gives this perspective to our own music heritage. So we sort of, through each of these collaborations, we have a chance to look at our own music tradition with a slightly fresher view. And of course, let's say, maybe comparing to other orchestras that are within this state funding, this Finnish folk music, it's not so much about performing, which is also a bit different compared to classical music or jazz music, or what you have in this field and within this system. Folk music is so much about this social phenomenon. It has been historically. It was more about bringing people together and dancing, especially. So in that way, there is this sort of little contradiction with what the essence of what we're trying to do, what we hold very important in this folk music, and what we are forced to do also, that we try to make it interesting to a bigger public. And like was already said previously, when you start doing a product out of this, you start losing the essence of the intangible culture. So it's sort of balancing with these things that we do on a daily basis. But yeah, that's so far we're still going and it's working nicely, and hopefully we'll be able to continue doing this for as long as possible. So
Kiitos, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think we need to extend all these webinar schedules because everything is so interesting. It would be lovely to have a proper time to discuss and hear even more. But unfortunately, we have to move forward. We have two commentaries who have kindly accepted our invitation to be here today. And after listening all these presentations, promised to provide their what did the presentations awaken, what came out of those. So I would like to invite first Ms. Laia Canals, and maybe just a brief introduction who you are and where are you from, and also I would like, please keep the commentaries about 5 minutes so we have a little bit time in the end also for the common discussion. But Laia, thank you.
Hi, and thank you, Matti, for inviting me to this. It's my first time as a commentator in this kind of situation, so it's quite exciting for me. And I've been very impressed with all your projects. So yeah, I hope I can visit some of them. They seem amazing. First of all, my background, I'm the director of the Danish National Organization for Folk Music. Our organization is divided in 3 parts. One part, we are a national organization, which creates projects, and we are also lobbying. Then we are an international organization. We are an export office. We mostly work with professional musicians, but through our national part, we work also with cultural heritage somehow. On the international part, we have a lot of projects, for example, with Kathmandu Folk Festival, and sometimes we overlap with Matti also. We are also working with Canada. We are working all over the world, basically. Yeah, and our third part, we are a foundation. We have mobility funding for artists who needs to travel all over the world and show the amazing Danish folk music. Yeah, I don't want to extend what is our organization about. I guess you all get an idea. But just my background is more on the commercial professional music. So it's been very interesting. And I'm very surprised that you can have projects like the ones we heard about that can be sustainable without having to think about ticket sales or audiences or festival. It's very impressive, and I would like actually to talk to some of you to know how you achieve all this economy. We heard from Finland that there is a state funding, but maybe in other regions they are not so healthy funding wise, and I'm very curious to hear how you make the projects sustainable and being able to be even possible. I really resonated with Risu's project, especially because there is a conference part, also with Tudor Festival in Essaouira, because you all will have at the end some kind of professionalization into your festivals. And that's very interesting from our side, because we cannot understand musicians making a career without having to include some kind of professionalization on it. Rizu, it sounds very interesting that you said you missed capacity building. You would like to have a program of capacity building. I would be very happy to share with you our experience. We have something it's called Accelerator. So it's where musicians get workshops and get a whole year of preparation before being brought into situations of conference, music conferences. So I would like to offer you, if you want, my experience or my organization's experience in helping with these accelerator programs. I forgot to say that our organization right now is the project leader of Nordic Folk Alliance, which is a Nordic conference where we are all meeting Matti and many of the musicians from the Halari project have played in this conference. So we are also partly festival, partly professional conference. So there is also this background experience, and I would offer also my help or just a dialogue, a Zoom coffee with Abdullah. Also, since you're gonna have all the part of professionalization and talks and program. Yeah, so that's a little bit my initial comments. I would like this more to be a conversation. So if anyone has a question or wants to share, or maybe after I hear the other commentator, I could add more on top of it. So yeah, I think I will pass my turn.
Thank you so much. And do we have Arun? Arun, Mr. Arun
Yes.
Sak, yes, and currently in India.
Yes, that's right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for this beautiful presentation, and thank you, Vilma and Matti, for having me. Sorry, I'm a bit under the weather today, but it was so nice to be at home and listen to you, because I think many people will be happy that I've sat for 2.5 hours at one place, because we've been doing a lot of groundwork, and it's so nice to see the kind of work that you all been doing, especially in Nepal and all these places. So just to give you a bit of what we do, I'm a percussionist. I studied in Sweden in 2011. I did my world music education. And in 2015, I was a One Beat alumni, which is a program which is organized by the United States Cultural Affairs, where 25 musicians from 25 countries, we come to the US and we work on music together, and 2 weeks in residency and 2 weeks on a concert tour. So right now, we have started an organization called Global Culture in Bangalore. And, it's, I don't want to go too much deep into it, but it's exactly what you're all doing, the same thing we are working on. And when the other day, me and Vilma, we were speaking, we were almost speaking the same language, same words. And, it was just connecting. I think our goal is just the same, destination, but we all are coming in different paths. And I've been working on creating a global network of, similar organizations where we can come together globally and kind of support each other's projects because I think we all speak the same languages as musicians and social entrepreneurs. And in India, in the last 4 years, we've been archiving the indigenous and folk artists of India. And the state where I come from is called Karnataka, and I come from a city called Bangalore. We are about 12 million people, so that's a lot of people. So we have more than 50 tribes who have very active, rich music, cultural heritage. And together here, we work with Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. And in the last 10 years, I've been trying to develop a strong network of our work across the indigenous, rich culture of different countries. So we've been going to RUMEX and, many other similar programs to connect. And I think all I can say is I think this last 3 hours have been a great learning for me. And I think I've learned so much from all of you. And I hope I can take some things and implement it here with all your support. And I think we should all get connected and work together for the, I think, betterment of the society. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. I was like, wow, with every project. It's very impressive. And I'm glad to be invited in this because I didn't know that all this was cooking.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just dropped a link to Arun's organization there in the chat. And could I please invite the speakers to do the same? So if you could share your webpage addresses on the chat, so we can all have them there in the for further exploration. And also, if you have a YouTube channel, that would be really nice to have, so we can watch the videos also later on, pick the links. But now we still have a little bit time for joint discussion. So please, the floor is open. So who would like to go first? Marusha, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for this webinar and for the presentations. I'd like to say that the themes today are all very actual. And my question would be about an observation that I've made lately at ABAIM with another organization. We had a roundtable where the younger generation was very present with new artists, young artists, and young researchers. So we were very lucky to have like very much a young generation at this roundtable. And what struck me was the questions that we had made me think that like there's a breakage between the new generation in the way that they see the tradition. It's like they were opposing the music of the traditional music with the new music, with what they call the professional music. So that's why I think these webinars, I've been following the series of the webinars, are very important, because I think that even if ABAIM has been present in Mauritius for this long period, we still have a long way to go. There's still much visibility to be given to the intangible heritage. And alone, we won't be able to do it. So that's why the connection with Finland and with Nepal and with all of you are very important, to be able to give the young generation a sense of the traditional music, the traditional heritage is still very vivid and can still be carried out to the next generation. I'd like to hear your comments, maybe from Laya, who is in the professional sector, maybe from Kalari, which I really appreciated the presentation, and from Rizu too. Thank you. And from Morocco, if we have time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very important question. Rizu? Or?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of the similar thing that we are facing here. How young generation tend to look at the music as this particular music as professional music, and some other music as not so professional. So it's also very different in a way, not only a professional or non-professional, but also like, because we have more than 125 different ethnic groups in Nepal, and having more than 125 ethnic groups, meaning that there are different kinds of music, of course, from different ethnic groups. And that actually doesn't, all those, the musics of that ethnic groups might not come within the musical circumference of Western classical driven music education or Eastern classical driven music education. So those musics that doesn't, somehow fit into either of those or any other existing musical so-called musical education that is somehow primitive. You know what I'm saying? That's a kind of an so when we are dealing with the situations like these, well, we are also like looking forward how to incorporate these kind of things into the music making, into building up into a package and present it in an world music market so that it is somehow actually accepted by the people from our own countries, and also might become an idol kind of a thing for the younger generation. So that's where I am. That's why I was talking so much about like maybe educational front is what we lack as Echoes in the Valley at the moment. So that's why we are actually kind of like trying to focus there and maybe trying to make a bridge between these two. But yeah, it's a long way.
Thank you. Laia.
Yeah, I agree with Rizu that most of the times it doesn't go together, commercial music and preservation of cultural heritage. But I understand in Denmark we have a privileged position, and maybe it's not an example that might be relevant because we have the privilege of having heavy funding for young people. And that makes things a little bit, I wouldn't say easy, but it's not comparable to, I'm from Spain, I'm not from Denmark. I know how complicated it is, even though Spain is also a privileged country. But anyhow, the way that we approach this is that the commercial artists, of course, they have to have other kind of, the music becomes a little bit of product, even though we don't like to call it like that. As Rizu mentioned, or you have to shape things to reach some kind of audiences, which are maybe not with the same ears ready for the tradition, and a global market too. And I think that's the point where I want to go, is that we in Denmark it's 6 million people only. It's a very small country, so if any musician is gonna become commercially viable, they're gonna have to go out of Denmark. So the way we approach this is to heavy fund opportunities outside of Denmark, either in the Nordic countries or in the rest of the world. And the funny thing is that once a band becomes successful internationally, then it's considered by the traditionalists and tradition. So it's always like a game of once you get validated outside of Denmark. We have a case, Dreamer Circus, maybe many of you know them. They were heavily criticized for working in between the classical music and the folk music, even though they were playing traditional songs, but they were their own interpretations. They were quite criticized in the beginning, and right now they succeeded in the US, they succeeded in Japan, so they come back home and everybody's like wanting to copy their music, and now they are accepted in the community. So there's also an important part of the validation when you get out of your own community, I would say.
Excellent.
I don't know if Rizu agrees with me. I see.
Mr. Shafira, would you like to add to this topic? Professionalization.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for sharing all the ideas and the informations about all events, and also for you, Madame Leah, for your attention that you pay to the events that have in common the problematic of taking care the intangible heritage. And I want to just share with you the anthology of Gnawa music that have realized and taken more time. Here, it's composed of 6 volumes. Inside each one is a CD and also texts both in Arabic and French about Gnawa heritage and the dividing depending on the color, as I said before. And also, in additional, a typical introduction of the Essaouira style, because it has very distinguished style from others in the other city in Morocco. Also, CDs and more famous master of Gnawa, and with the book, with all the detail of the ceremony of the leader of Gnawa. And we are working on the other Sufi brotherhoods, because similar to Gnawa, there is Isawa and Hmacha, and these are music also of healing and therapeutic traditions that must also be known and registered by the UNESCO. So there is a lot of work to do, and also we hope, as we always did, we seek for partnerships with festivals, to whom he is concerned with the intangible heritage, so as to knit the ties between the events in all parts of the world, and also with the organizers and the associations. So as, for example, in Jodor, our association, we succeed, fortunately, to have partnership with the embassies, because I think we think that it is very important. It helps the organizers to lend a hand and to invite musicians, so as to let the public, the audiences in our country, to discover that kind of music. We also, for all foundations that help also for mobility, for residencies, to make artists make acquaintance, to meet up together, so as to create artistically album, and so as, why not, to make an international tour with it here in Morocco and also abroad. So from here, we are open to everyone who is really interested to discover our traditions and who wants to let us also discover their traditions. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I might add, because Sampo had to leave, I might add from the Finnish side to the topic also that I think it's there's in every aspect of ICH work and art and music, one has to be quite mindful about the ways, or kind of like, as Alan, I think you used the term in your presentation, the over commercialization, which is another kind of end, and then there is in that other end there is the no commercialization at all. So I think both of these ends are kind of like dead ends in terms of sustainability. So in a way, finding that ground and I think as we have heard, like with ABAIM and Echoes in the Valley, and also the other organizations that are here, Global Culture and the Chodor Festival, there is a kind of balancing between these two aspects, because we know that providing the young generation, the idols, the really high quality professional experiences and international recognition is part of that kind of prestige. Providing those kind of examples, supporting the musicians who have the capability to kind of go down that road. But then again, kind of like showing the value of the community practices in the, like, for example, through festivals, and kind of trying to balance between the both and be very mindful about where is the place for each, what do we need, so that it is I've like very much started liking this idea of this heritage ecology, where understanding the sustainability in terms of like we need a ecology, so we need the professional musicians, we need a strong community groundwork, we need albums, we need TV, we need media, but then we need the really kind of something else as well in order to keep the whole ecosystem alive. So I think today we have heard lovely examples how in all of your activities there is this idea and ecological thinking, so to say, present in all the activities. Yes, Laia, please.
Yeah, I think you summarized it super beautifully. But I would say that we are also having a structural issue here, which is that when musicians need to be sustainable, that means entering commercial markets, in and out, in and out. And I agree that any extreme is not good enough. But yeah, we have structural challenges where musicians are overloaded with, or artists are overloaded with many hats. They have to be the booking agent, the manager, the record label. So we also need to incentivize that there is an independent music industry on top of that. And that's, for example, big work that our organization is doing, is to attract more music managers so musicians can take a little bit out of their shoulders, because they need to do everything: social media managers, booking agents, record labels, signing contracts. So yeah, I was just wanted to make a little addendum to your amazing summarize.
Yes, totally agree. And also one of my case studies that I've done among the professional folk musicians highlights these many hats that the musicians are struggling with. And I would add to that palette that you just laid out there, they are also the ones who are trying to take care of the community level groundwork. They're also the ones who are trying to teach, take care of the education. So it's like, and being overwhelmed with all these, like kind of trying to hold the whole ecology themselves, it's too much. So that's why we need to pay attention to these structural inequalities and flaws in order to support the sustainability framework. But really, really important things. And I think to hear what I was hearing as well from many of the presentations and also from the commentaries, one way to kind of look forward and support, find new ways how to proceed with these kind of things is to strengthen our international networks. Each of us is working in our own organizations and from our own groundings, and that can be an overwhelming task as well. And to find people who are working around similar issues, share the same mindset, which was really nice to hear also. I think it was Arun to say that like you're speaking with from my perspective. So I think this is one way, and this is the reason why this kind of small projects that allow us to come together and share and discuss is very vital also for the future of the ICH sustainability efforts. But thank you so much. Yes, Alan, please.
Maybe. Yeah,
Yes.
just to follow suit with what you've been saying in binding us together, I think that we must maybe we could acknowledge the fact that we do have the convention that is a pretty good instrument, because indeed talking about communities is about recognizing what they have been doing and what they are doing. And the convention provides for what we call recognition of those practices and recognition of the organizations. So we can use these as levers as well to give value to uphold intangible cultural heritage with good guidelines that are found in the instruments of the convention. So maybe we should try to, on top of all the initiatives or the reflections that we've had today, put some emphasis as well on the good work that can be done if we harness a little bit more people, communities, about the possibilities that they will have if they manage to engage with authorities or other organizations to be able to acquire those types of recognition. Because it's just like the experience we've had with ABAIM. You know, since we've been accredited to the UNESCO convention, we feel that really there has been a leap in terms of recognition, and be it with the state, with the private sector, or with the general population, we feel that elements of ICH are now much more recognized, and we have those improved capacities that can serve the purpose of communities and the practices.
Thank you so much, Alan. Please follow our advertisement for the next webinar. It would be lovely to have you there as well. It's going to take place during the Kaustinen Folk Music Festival in July, and I would really like to just conclude with a wish that find some way to connect through Facebook, maybe some webpage, so that we can keep up with the discussion and creating more ideas together. But Matti, would you like to conclude?
Thank you, Wilma, and thank you, Alan and Laia, for the last comments. I think you had it like a perfect, we had the challenges and we had the answers and the questions and everything there. So I won't do anything more than just say thank you, all presentators, commentators, and all of you friends. And yeah, thank you, and let's have a nice evening or night for us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Bye.
all.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Alam, bye-bye.
Bye.